Hello and welcome to my channel. My name is Precious and this is my weekly wrap up. Going back to basics and reading my romance because I love romance and I haven't read a really good romance in a while, so I was taking a little bit of a break from romance, but now I'm back into the swing of things. I read three or two TL Swan books. I'm currently reading the third one and I'll give you a wrap up of that when I complete it next week. But I started out of sequence because I didn't know it was a duology, but I did start with the Takeover by TL Swan, which follows Tristan Miles, which is one of the Miles brothers, who are four brothers who basically own New York and London. So Tristan is a businessman who sort of recovers old or companies that are going bankrupt, and Claire Anderson is running an advertising company that her husband started, her late husband. She is a widow and a mother of three. Right there, I hadn't read anything like that before. I'd never read about a mother with children who was a widow in a romance. So I was intrigued. But what kept me reading was the banter between the two of them and just the relationship between Tristan and Claire. So they meet because Tristan wants to try and acquire Anderson Media, I think that's what it's called, and that's Claire's late husband's company that she has been trying really hard to keep afloat. And they sort of knock heads there. She has this idea about who Tristan is and he just wants to, you know, so he's like a business rescue kind of guy. He rescues the businesses. So they start off on like an enemies to lovers foot, and she goes on a retreat because her PA has suggested it, and on the retreat she runs into Tristan Miles. A little bit of banter goes back and forth. They start an affair. Neither of them want to take it anywhere, but once they start their relationship, they really fall for each other, and thus the craziness begins. Tristan wants to look after her, he wants to be with her, but she is sort of struggling with the fact that she is a mother. She still feels kind of married even though her husband has passed away, and it was really good. The children were charismatic and really great characters. Harrison, her second child, was really hilarious. The meeting with the first son, Fletcher, was also quite dramatic. It was hilarious, it was romantic, it was just amazing, and I really did enjoy it. And because I enjoyed that one so much, I jumped into Mr. Masters by TL Swan as well, and that was absolutely crazy as well. It is a age gap nanny romance. Mr. Masters is his name is Julian Masters, and he is also a widower. His wife passed away in a car accident, and he has two children. Their names are Sammy and Willow. Also really sweet, charismatic, and play an actual role in the story, which was really refreshing as well, similar to The Takeover. And Julian Masters is a judge. What is her name again? What is her name? What is her name? Julian Masters and Brielle. Okay, I remembered her name. Her name is Brielle. So Brielle is Australian. She's an Australian girl who goes to London to sort of run away from her own past as well. She's broken up with her boyfriend and she wants to start something new. So she goes overseas to London as an au pair, and she's been in talks with her company and also with the person that she thinks she's going to work for, and assumed that Julian Masters was a woman. To her shock and horror, he is not. When he picks her up from the airport, she's like, oh damn, older hot guy. She's 25, he's 39, and they start off on a really difficult foot because it is a difficult situation. She's a nanny, she's there for his children. They're his children are sort of traumatized by the loss of their mother as well. So there's those weird dynamics, which I thought were handled very well and very realistically. And they did start their relationship because they have a mutual attraction, and the more they spend time with each other. But Julian has a lot of walls. He has a lot of walls because the way that his wife died, his previous relationship with her, the life that they lived, and the really he had like a really tough life before even his wife passed away. So it was very difficult for him to have a relationship with anybody. So breaking through those walls with the family and the kids is really difficult for Brielle. But she has a bubbly personality. She is very outspoken and strong and kind, and I think that's what melts these like frosted over hearts of this family, of the Masters family, and I think she was a great fit. This was also super really just romantic, really touching and heartbreaking because everybody was touched by the loss. It really affected them. Of course, it's the mother and wife of the family, and the issues that Mr. Masters had were also kind of understandable. The smutty scenes were really good, but there was a lot of them, so if you're not into that, you may be taken aback. This is the same for the takeover, but I really enjoyed all the characters. I loved Julian Masters' mother because she had her sights set on Brielle becoming a part of the family from the get-go. It was kind of hilarious, the interactions that they had. Yeah, Mr. Masters by TL Swan, I highly recommend it. It is amazing. It was really swoon worthy. The next book that I picked up this week was A Baby for the Bear, which is a shifter romance. We have a feline, she's some sort of cat shifter. Her name is February, and a bear shifter named Charlie. You know, just in the classic Jenika Snow, big alpha male, really sweet, kind of lost female protagonist who just wants to have a good time. She's just turned 30. She goes to a bar and wants to let loose and has a night with Charlie. And on that night, a baby appears. A baby's conceived. They have to work through how they're going to manage this. They fall in love instantaneously. It's a classic Jenika Snow. I really enjoy Jenika Snow novels. They are like palate cleansers for me. But yeah, that was A Baby for the Bear. The next book that I completed this week was Half a King by Joe Abercrombie. And this follows Yavi, who is a prince, but he is a disabled prince. His father has always treated him unfairly because of his disability, and his brother has sort of tried to compensate for this by being the best warrior and the best person there is. So the book starts off by Yavi sort of telling us his plans, that he wants to be a minister ministers to kings and gives them direction and helps them you know, make decisions. And he's found comfort in this new role that he's made for himself, and he's really ready to lead into it. And then his father and brother are killed, and he has now to take the throne. He takes the throne, things happen, he loses the throne. He's betrayed really deeply by people he had not expected to betray him, and it's a grimdark fantasy. So he really did go through a lot of things in order to sort of come up on somewhat on top. This is a grimdark, so it's not going to have a happy ending. He really did struggle. He was betrayed. The throne was taken from him, and he was thrown into slavery. He became a all-master or allman on a ship, and which is already really difficult for him because he is only one-handed. But he pushes through it because of his all-mates. He creates this relationship with them, but he always has his wit that will help him to sort of climb a little bit further than everybody else. I did enjoy this. It was my second time reading this because I had picked it up before, but I thought it was really dark and depressing, and I was like, it's dark and depressing for a while. It didn't really fit the usual fantasy sort of timeline that I'm used to, but it was also my first sort of foray into grimdark. But I loved it. The ending, it was dark. It was grimdark. He went through a lot, and but his wit pulled him through, and his intellect pulled him through and saved him so many times. And using skills that he's learned from different people, like his mother, who is sort of the golden queen. She has influence and money and knows how to barter and knows how to get people to do her bidding. And he's always, before all of the weird things happened to him with him losing his throne, he'd always looked at her as something, someone better, which he is, and somebody so unlike him. But when he is desperate, he uses the skills, which I enjoyed. He maneuvers himself in a way where he gets back to his country and then has to deal to try to make deals that are not necessarily for everybody's good, but will ultimately be the good for his people. He loses the throne again, but he becomes a minister, which was always his sort of goal. I enjoyed it. I'm going to read the second book, which is Half a War, I think. This is a trilogy in the Shattered Seas. It's a Shattered Seas trilogy by Joe Abercrombie. I've been interested into getting into Joe Abercrombie, and I'm gonna start with these three, and if I like all of them, I'll go into The Blade itself and the other books that he has in his series. So that is the books that I read this week. Thank you very much for joining me. If you have any suggestions of books that I can pick up, please put them down in the comments below, and thank you for watching. Bye.